So
good.
yeah, why did I start the podcast? We're just going to jump right into it.
Cool.
Yeah. That's fine.
So we had mentioned before when you got here that you really enjoyed the psych set that we played at Club Cafe together.
Yes.
It's
And
New Violence.
it's very common to be in a situation when you play shows with bands and you maybe get to talk for like 30 seconds.
Right.
And then that's it. And then, either you're around each other and you're just spaced out like that post-show sort of like high, drunk, staggerness thing, or you're just rushing around and it's just like time to go. You don't have to link up with anybody. So one reason for starting the show is just being able to have a reason to actually like sit down and talk. There's no instruments or gear or hard time frames.
Nice. Yeah.
And the other thing too was I was on a show 5 years ago. It was like the first podcast I was ever on. And I remember listening to it and telling myself, like, man, I really suck at talking to people. Like it was not good. So I wanted to try to get better at talking to people. And I don't know. But nobody else at the time was doing like a Pittsburgh music podcast.
Well,
and now there are a few now.
This is our first podcast.
Is it?
This is great.
This is.
Yes.
So be
nice.
gentle.
Please.
So
Be
first
gentle.
podcast in the new space.
It's beautiful.
Yes, this is
It
amazing.
absolutely
I want
beautiful.
to.
I like the hot tub over here.
We did have a webcast for a brief time on ours. It was called Standard Webcast. And we would have a bands come in, and I'm a carpenter by trade, and I built this big long table. It was on a deck at my old house. And we would bring it was mostly singer-songwriters. We would have maybe a couple bands, but they would play 3 songs, and they would give us like one song we would learn, and our band would play with them all acoustic. And like Paul Kostick was one, is really good. Jeremy Popeye was another one. But to do this, I think we only did like 4 or 5 episodes because I moved. So our new house, I don't have the space set up yet to do that. But I'm always amazed that you're 5 years in right now.
Yes.
So congratulations to that. So,
finally get this space.
so this is
and
really
everything.
cool. I've enjoyed.
I enjoy the hot
episodes.
tub over there. Is that a full service bar? Is that a bar over there? Is that?
I do want to apologize for anybody that's watching that doesn't recognize the fact that I'm wearing the same shirt as the last episode. This is still the first day at the new studio.
Right.
So any issues that I addressed that I was going to fix on the last episode, they are not fixed yet because that was only about an hour and a half ago. And I definitely took my time in between to go downstairs and have a beer and some food. So deal with it.
Oh, the first.
We won't even know any different.
And before we get into my guests this week, let's get into my episode. Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out last week's episode. If you're one of the people who listened to that conversation, I hope you enjoyed it and thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda and seltzer water in the fridge. Today, I am joined by 2 friends, 2/5 or 2/4 of Standard Broadcast?
Just half a Standard
Half.
Broadcast.
2/4.
Yeah.
Introduce yourselves to the people.
Yes.
I'm Leland Shaw. I'm from Standard Broadcast. I play the cello.
And my name is Nathan J. And I play piano and I'm lead vocals.
So cello, piano, vocals. What kind of corny music is this?
The generic label would be, I guess, just pretty much indie rock. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
It's a good blend of everything because you don't hear a cello in anything, especially more of like indie rock. You might hear it in like One Republic.
Sure.
But as more and more you're hearing it into more folk, more of like Lumineers.
Yeah.
So now we're still taking it in that indie route and that pop.
Yeah, and
comes
the
out.
thing that I think is really kind of unique is he is actually our bass end. Like we don't have a bass. So it's just guitar, cello, piano, and drums. So
Cool.
yeah.
It's a good blend. It's a very, very
I
good
love
blend.
that alternative approach to music because there are so many more instruments available in the world outside of your traditional things. And you could get a lot of really cool but familiar sounds from those instruments.
It's nice because, like, yes, I do play the bass end, but there are so many times I get that solo or I get that earworm where it's like, ooh, I like that sound. I like that. So, like, our song Be Without You, that's what I start with. You hear that right away. You hear that cello sound. and it's like, oh, okay, and it just like evolved from like a pop song to now it's like
he starts probably a third of our songs.
Something
like
it just gets so exhausting.
It's kind of
so starting out with these songs.
No, that's awesome. We're working on some new Sykes and New Violence stuff now, and there's a couple tracks where like the bass is the lead in some of the parts, and it's a lot of fun. It just gives a different feel, rather than always focusing on like synth or guitar or some weird vocal sample, which is what we typically do.
Yeah.
Having Justin take the lead on a lot of the parts is giving us like just a cool different feel.
Yeah, just changing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of breaking it down. Yeah. That makes a big difference. Sometimes.
Cool. So Standard Broadcast is in the building. I should have asked you guys before we got started. This episode is going to be going up on June 20th.
Okay.
I'm going to shout out some dates that I have coming up. If you, in the meantime, want to think about anything that you have post June 20th that you can promote.
Yeah.
So today, actually, I am going to probably right now, as you are watching this, I am currently at the Track Meet Cypher. I am playing live beats while people do some freestyles. That's at the, I forget what that place is called. Like the Royal Brothers or something. Oh, man, I apologize.
Where's it located at?
It's in, that's like Brighton Heights, Bellevue area.
Okay.
What is that place called?
I'm not familiar with
the Royal something. I apologize. I should have my shit together.
But it'll be up there.
Track meet. Chances are, if you know what the track meet is, you know where it is. Anyways, so that's happening like literally right now. Most of the people that are watching this, it's gonna be happened anyways. So
that day. Yeah.
So, but you've time for June 22nd. Sykes and the New Violence is opening up for our good friends in Old Game. They have their album release at Cativo.
We have a tie-in with that, but go ahead.
Okay, so yes, that's June 22nd at Cativo. And then June 28th, shout-outs to some other friends. Harkin is having their album release at Mr. Smalls.
Yes, one half of Dinosaur. Yes, excellent music. Yeah. I'm happy what she's doing with everything there. Yeah.
And I will be DJing that event. So those are my events coming up now in the near future. What do you got?
Okay, I was looking for it, but the tie-in with Old Game is we're playing Deutschtown. Okay,
cool.
And we'll be, I think it's 108 Foreland. And I was trying to find the actual venue name, but I think it's like right across, like where the murals are, the main stage. So it'll be right there on Foreland Avenue. And we play right before Old Game.
Awesome.
So I think we played one other show with them, and it was back at the Layer Cake Festival.
I remember.
I really enjoyed their music.
Yeah.
And I know this will be a better event.
Oh, sure.
So I'm looking forward to seeing them and some other people. And we're pumped for that.
Deutschtown will be fun for me this year because I'm not playing at all. So
really?
I'm just gonna walk around and
enjoy it.
Chill and hang. I mean, we're in the middle of it right here, so I might do some podcasts during the day. That could be fun.
Bring a few people in.
Yeah, totally. We'll see how that goes. Mm-hmm. I kind of just want to have no responsibility, though. That's always the bummer.
I don't blame you.
I come down. Like last year, I rode my bike down from my house. I live right up the street.
Oh, nice.
And I was just like riding around, going from like venue, watch like 3 songs, rode over to another place, get a beer, watch some more. I was like, oh man, I want to do this all day. But then I had to find parking, load in, and then the rest of my day was shot.
Much less stressful.
Yeah.
Nothing against playing.
We didn't have a sound guy that showed up in our last.
That's what we had so many times.
It was pretty hectic. Yeah, but it all happened and we made it work. So
totally, and that's the weekend of what July 13th and 14th.
Yes,
that's correct.
So we're playing that Friday. It's the Friday the 13th.
Yep.
It's Friday the 13th.
Is it Friday the 13th?
It might be the 12th or
maybe
13th.
Hopefully it's Friday the 12th.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
None of us. We literally know nothing. We know absolutely nothing. So
Friday the 12th.
One thing that I used to do by myself that I'm trying to do now with people is actually go through listener questions, so we don't have to, talk about the history of your band, why you play music, and things like that.
So we're just going straight into the questions.
Who cares?
Okay. Exactly.
Why'd you start a band? Because music's tight, right?
That's it. Yeah.
And you wanted to have fun. There we go. End of fucking story.
Yeah, that's it. Cool.
Never have to ask another band that question again.
Nailed it.
That's it. Next question.
Let's get into some listener questions, and then if all works well, this will tie into some other things that have to do with your band. Correct?
Great.
Correct. So we got the screen up in here ready to go. I mentioned earlier that I burned through the first batch of listener questions, so let's get some more. All right. Ryan Dowden. So, how soon is too soon for a band to play a gig? Like, what constitutes being gig ready?
That is an excellent question. I'm going to take this one. Or at least
Do you want to start
this off.
I think you should start.
whenever you think you're ready to play a gig, wait like 3 more months.
I turned the brightness down a bit.
Yeah.
Just because of, see, I got to figure out this screen situation anyways.
No, yeah. Because I think back to our first gig, and which ironically was at Hambones, which even more ironically was Jeremy Kaywood was running sound for that, who is now one of my favorite people of all
He's
time
such a
in the
good guy.
Pittsburgh music scene.
He's a good dude.
And he was like
good
the most gentle, easy to deal with sound guy. And we were just so nervous. And I think we have some like photos and video of that show. And man, is it frightening. But and we were like, we are ready to play this show.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, we were a lot better. So yeah.
I've definitely noticed, not commonly, but I've seen it enough where there are bands that are just so hungry to play.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I totally get it and I relate with it, but it really, first impressions do tend to stick with some people.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that it really just matters the platform you're putting yourself on. Yeah. I would say like, I've seen bands that are not gig ready, like agree to do like ticket sale shows and open up for a national band. And like, it's a tragedy.
The pay to play.
Yeah. I mean, beautiful. Which is, that's fine if that's what you want to do. But I say like, if you're going to put yourself into that environment, be ready.
Right.
You know, like it's one thing, you got to start playing shows somewhere.
Yeah.
So if it's like a smaller show somewhere where it's pretty low risk.
Yeah.
See, I remember the scene in Tenacious D, Pick of Destiny, where like Jack Back is just playing, he's playing, and Kyle's just like, boo! And you see a beer bottle being thrown at him and just thrown all this time. I feel like you need to be that ready, that like no matter whatever's going to go on, like I might be out of tune, or I might break a string, or like you might be flat on something, or you just mess up on something. You need to go and just continue through that. So like understand that you need to improvise whenever on the spot. So you might never be gig ready, but always be prepared for a plan B, plan C, and everything else from there.
Well, I remember we saw it. I would never hate on any band, so I would never do it. But I remember seeing a local show, and this band was signed, and they were super young. Like I want to say they were like 18, 19, 20 or so. And I remember being like mortified for them. And I saw, and I mean, to the point where like out of tune, like stopping and like for like 2 or 3 minutes at a time during a set. Can you imagine how long, you know how long that feels when you're on stage? Can you imagine like dead air? It's like being on radio. Imagine like dead air for 3 minutes.
With the psychs.
And just like, so they must have had a very good recording, very good demos. You know what they said?
Oh, totally.
But like I remember seeing them, I'm like, how is this band signed when they're like they have no idea what they're doing, and like then the shoegaze, it wasn't shoegaze music, but they're just staring at their shoes the whole time.
Sure.
Like, and I was like, man, like no one said anything to them.
Yeah. So I mean, answer to the question, I would just say, I mean, it really just depends. Like if you feel like you're ready, you're ready.
Yeah. There's never
but
a great
some people feel like they're ready and they're not ready.
Right. Mm-hmm. Just get your feet wet. You'll get feedback. So.
Again, it's the only way to really get gig ready is to like play some stinkers.
Yeah.
Like you
yeah.
Just like much like a podcast in a new space, I'm gonna have to record like a handful of episodes
again and again
with unnecessary problems. So
you're guinea pigs.
Ryan Dowden.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, my man. So we got John Knoll. How important do you think an online presence is for an artist nowadays? Very. Granted, some musicians have found success not even leaving their home via YouTube, Instagram, whatever, and others have no luck, luck being the key word.
I'll take this one.
You're 2 for 2 so far, so go ahead.
No, you said,
hey, you're the guest.
Yeah,
so it is more important than anything. I would think like no matter how your music sounds, you have to have it really sucks to say, but I really think like you have to have as much of an online presence. Not even like, hey, we have a Facebook page. Like, I feel it's my opinion that like you should have a website, you should have an Instagram, you should have Twitter. Like the more, it doesn't take long to set those things up, and the more of an online presence you have, the easier it is just for people to find your music, good or bad. But for you to think like your music's good enough, you'll hear it at live shows. I would say maybe 2% of the people that have listened to our music have been to one of our shows. So,
and
I think it's crucial, if not very important.
I think the bar's been set really high too by very popular people that are easily accessible online.
Right.
Because, like, in a way, a lot of people feel like they're friends with these people.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they're fans. Like, that line's really blurred.
It is, yeah.
So you definitely, it's like, why? Sure, maybe 10 years ago, it was like, oh, okay, you could be a fan of Kanye West.
Right.
Or you could be a fan of, you could be friends with somebody that also makes music, but you have a more direct connection to them. So maybe it's easier to kind of pay attention to what they're doing on a day-to-day basis because you don't know what a Kanye West or Breaking Benjamin or whatever is doing on a daily basis. I don't know why those are my two.
But
It just makes it so accessible.
But now it's like what it's like. Everybody knows what Kanye West is doing all the time, or Cardi B or whatever. Right. So I'm not as fucking cool as Cardi B.
Yeah.
So of course everybody's eyeballs are going to get linked towards that. So you have to try your hardest to at least. I mean, if you want to play that game, you got to try your hardest to be a part of that game.
Right. I think it's just like every step in the evolution of what you want your music to become. If your end game is hopefully like income replacement, like I don't care what you do for a living. I think the standard like response from any current musician is like, I don't care how much I get paid as long as it replaces my current income. That would be like a dream. If you could just play in a band and you're making whatever amount you're making in your dream job. It's not, I feel like the bar went from like, I got to be a millionaire or I got to be a rock star selling out stadiums to like, oh my God, it's so flooded with music right now. The scene, like,
to what am I comfortable with?
Yeah.
What
It's
am I
like, man, if I could just, replace what I'm making and pay my rent or pay my mortgage, that would be amazing. So the only way you go about doing that is, having your music out there for the most ears to be able to capture that and listen to it. So
the other thing too, I mean, it's hard to speak on behalf of Instagram right now because he mentioned, granted, musicians have found success not leaving their home via Instagram or YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I would say it's safe to say now a lot of the YouTube famous people, it's been very temporary.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's maybe a few.
It's the 15 minutes of fame that you're just getting.
So I feel like most of them aren't music based.
Yeah, and if that's like what you're chasing, you know what I mean? If you want to be the next Taze on Day.
Yeah.
Chocolate Rain or whatever. Like that's
that
cool.
quick. You went that quick.
I mean, if you want to do that, maybe in 10 years you can get played at MySpace night. But aside from that, like that's going to be the best thing going for you.
Well, like, how do you deal? Because you're in that two bands. You're in Grey Walkers, you're in Skykes and New Valley Alliance.
And they're very different.
They're very different. So how do you deal with, like, okay, now you have two Instagram accounts. Now you deal with two.
I have about, if you take, like, because I have Sykes, I have Grey Walker, I have the podcast, I have MySpace Night. I have my job, I have Brutal Beer Fest.
Oh, so you are all out there.
A couple different things, and then you times that across all the social media platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Like I manage about 24 social media pages.
Right.
And the only way that I deal with it is that I just simply don't give a shit. Like that's really all I could do. Like I have an Excel spreadsheet, so I give a shit to the point where I have a spreadsheet where I post daily on each thing, and it just makes sure that.
That sounds like you're giving a shit.
Yeah, just helps me make sure that I'm at least
bits, the regular.
That I'm at least posting a couple times a week on each thing, just so I could keep track of it, and so nothing falls under the wayside.
Right.
But aside from that, I don't invest a whole lot into it. I definitely don't invest as much as I maybe should if I wanted to play that like social media game. Like I really suck at keeping up with the stories.
But like you said,
and all that stuff.
Have 12 of them that you're dealing with. So you're doing like, okay, this on this day, this on this day, this on this day. You're doubling up maybe twice on a couple days. Mm-hmm. So that's it. So
if I only had like a couple, like if it was just like me and like the band page, I could see myself like being able to play that game a lot better. But now it's like, because each thing that I do too is like a completely different part of my brain. So I feel, rather schizophrenic at times, just trying to like tap into different things. Cause like the way people react to things on Instagram, it's not the same content that gets people on Twitter to react.
Yes.
Or the same. Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah. Twitter, it's funny because I run most of our social media and I feel like I do a really bad job of it because if I look back at like our Instagrams and other things, I'm such a big fan of tons of PGH musicians. That's why I founded Indie Rock Fest and stuff. I retweet and repost all these other bands on our personal band. I'll be at their show and I'm like, oh, Essential Machine right now, they killed it. And I'm putting their videos up on our stuff, which is great. What I want to do. And then I look back, if anyone was trying to check out our music on our socials, they might have to dig a bit to see that. So I'm just totally deeply in love with the music scene here, as you are as well. And you at least have this podcast to kind of funnel that.
That was also another reason why for a long time I didn't have all these different social media accounts. For a long time I was running everything through just my own personal pages.
Okay.
But it's too much static because it's what exactly am I promoting? Things are getting lost. You know what I mean? Because there are some people that are friends with me that could not give a fuck less about Sykes or about the podcast. They just, I'm in Greywalker. So they're interested.
You're focused on the metalheads.
Then there's people that are on the flip. There are people that know me because of the podcast. They don't give a fuck about my bands. They don't care. Right. So I created all this different, the different social media things so I could at least divide everything. Now it's my personal page is just it's pictures me and my girlfriend and records. You know what I mean? Just very normal.
What are you listening to right now?
Very normal, the that kind of stuff. And then anybody that cares about psych stuff, well, it has its own universe now. And then
Nice.
So everything, it's a lot more to manage it in terms of functioning multiple pages. But I feel it's getting received better by the people that are more interested in it. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because now they have an easy way to pay attention to it because it's just right there. So rewind real quick. Indie Rock Fest.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, cool. Indie Rock Fest is a music festival that we started back in 2016. So we just had our fourth one. And the impetus, thank you.
A new hope.
I need an applause. I need an applause. Make a note. I need an applause button. Okay.
Yeah.
It's all in the beta. It's all in the beta testing.
I'm putting it in my notes right now.
I love telling this story because it was. I feel it was such a cool way that it all started. So
long time
back
ago,
in 2016, we were playing the X's Winter Rock Showcase. Right, it happens every year, and there was a total of 5 bands. It was us, it was The Show, the Dove Wires, it was There You Are, and A Little Less Human, and Stand Up Broadcast. So those 5. And
Stand Up Broadcast?
Stand Up Broadcast. That's our comedian. That's our comedy set right there. Yeah. And After Hours.
That's another event. There you go. You're welcome.
And just showing my age a little bit. I'm on the older end, and Stand Up. We've been together for about 5 years, and I was never in the music scene in Pittsburgh before. So I'm 40 now. I just turned 40. So I'm hitting the music scene at 35. I don't have any baggage from anybody. I don't. So I walk into this Winter Rock Showcase and I just love on everybody because everyone was great and they were super cool. And the downside of playing the showcase is they give you 10 minutes to play.
Okay.
Go up, play your 10, 15 minutes.
Do they have a back line up there?
Yeah, everything's back line. It's all crowd participation. Whoever claps for you the most. Now, we're playing against a lot heavier bands, and we're a light, and especially back then. I think the first one, there was only the 3 of us. We started as a trio.
Yeah.
Holly was playing drums, I think. And so we're, obviously we don't win or anything, but I really honestly enjoyed everyone's company. And it wasn't combative. It wasn't super competitive. Yeah, we had a really good time. We were just hanging out. So I'm you know what? Guys, we got to play a show together, and where we all got 45-minute sets. So I booked our first big gig, and I called it Indie Rock Fest, and it was always a Cativo for the first 3 years, which is a really great venue run by amazing people. Really big fans of them, and so that was the first one. So and it was a really nice turnout. So the first year was 5 bands. The second year. And the idea behind the event is that all the money raised goes to the musicians involved. So if we have sponsor money or anything, I don't take any cut. I literally just treat it I love hosting parties, so I just pay for everything, like throw the money for the event space and rent it, and then any money gets split to help like bands, get a demo together or an EP or for merch, give them money for t-shirts, So the first year was just the 5 bands. Second year, I kind of went out of my league a little bit and did 12 bands, and we rented both stages at Cativo. So
the way I like to compare all these, because we're in the 4th version, is this has been the Star Wars. We've had the Phantom Menace, we've had the Clone Wars, which nobody's favorite. I don't know if anybody. Yeah. And then like the 3rd one, we finally got like our feeding.
The third year there was 8 bands, and so the second year was cool because it like when a set ended, you'd run upstairs and go see the second. So we never had any overlap, so we weren't competing with the artists. And I hate to say this, but the last year we just had it in April.
The New Hope,
the new
4th one.
Yeah, it was at Spirit Hall upstairs. And it was absolutely amazing. We brought in, because the thing I've realized is we've always had really, I think, in my opinion, like really amazing acts, and we weren't getting people in. And the problems, and I gave it 3 years, and the problem was like parking and like not being able to get there. So we tried Spirit, and we rented the big hall, and which is more parking. There's like a lot more room. And we had a ton of people. We doubled the revenue, and we made more money. And we had 12 bands this last year, too. So we won 5 bands, 12 bands, 8 bands, and then this last year was 12 bands. And we made like close to $2,000 every band.
Killer.
Walked with $150, which like that night, which isn't a ton of money. I mean, I can't wait to get it to, like this year I'm going to be working more on sponsorship. So it's already booked for Spirit for April 11th of 2020.
Killer.
And the first 2 years were in June, June, like summer, and it was competing with like Deutschtown and Millville Music Festival.
That sucks.
So now we are slated the last 2 times, and this will be the 3rd year, it's been in April. So it's like kicks off the festival season. So it's like us, then Millville Music Festival, then Deutschtown. And it's been great. Like we actually partnered with Millville. I'm from Shaler. I'm a Shaler guy. So I love everybody on the board at Millville Music Festival. They sponsored us. So we kind of like returned the favor. So looking forward to more of that partnerships and just keep making it better every year. There You Are, the band There You Are in Cedar Broadcast. We're the only, they've made it all 4 years. So we're gonna have, it's going to be the 5th year. So
Killer.
I'm going to do like a 5-timers club and get like robes made or something.
Hell yeah.
That band next year. So.
That's awesome. No, I think
you.
that's great that, you're just taking that extra initiative to do something that's bigger than, yourselves.
Oh yeah. There's so many good people in this scene, and everybody needs help. And I'm just honestly fans. And the one thing I will mention that kind of sets our festival apart is it's totally curated. So we don't have an open submission. And the main reason for that is we're active enough in the community that we like to see and promote people that are just grinding away.
Oh, totally.
That need the exposure. So the other festivals are there, to help bands that are like high school or like, they just need their first gig and need exposure, where, if we're going to be raising money and paying out for people, like we really want to make sure it's going to people that like really need it and need the exposure and the money for it.
It's nice even beforehand, because you're like Bleepy Things was one of those, and like Young Lungs, we know them personally. Yeah. I know them, like I've drank with them. I've seen them out at email karaoke, at MySpace night, at these like different events. And so it's nice to help out your friends. It's nice to be like, hey, I want to help you try to get a gig and get you money. So like, because I love your band.
Hell yeah.
And to go from there too.
And in the last 2 years, we started incorporating hip hop. So BB Guns, and we had them and Back Alley Sound.
You had Walkman too, right?
Well, that was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we made a hip hop block this year, because I've found like they're a super responsive community, like the hip hop community. And there's, because we've reached out to like some folk people and something and didn't get like much of a good response. So I don't want it to be a misnomer. Indie Rock Fest is just not indie rock music. It's like we had Jenny and the Jags, which is like almost alt country. We had, Native Alloys, which is like straight, like good, like rock and roll. And we had Abstract Theory, Abstract Theory, Walkman, and Back Alley Sound. And we had like a nice block of hip hop like in the middle of the festival. So we're going to keep like growing on that. Eventually, we might just have like a hip hop stage, and then have like indie alt like kind of rock stage. So, so
yeah,
whatever how much money we can raise, and I don't want to get it so diluted that you're like, oh, you got 20 bands, you'll have $50. Like,
Yeah.
my goal is like, if I
Totally.
can give a band $300, $400, $500 each, it would be amazing. So I'm trying to get my sponsorship up, for next year. So.
That sponsorship grind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm no good at it.
Yeah.
So
With Brutal Beer Fest, I kind of kept my hands out of all of that.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just I know what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. Although it wouldn't be a bad skill to learn.
yeah.
I'm
the same way. I just don't like asking people for money. And my employer now is I'm giving them a shout out. It's Urban Capital Group, where if you open your Sunday paper and it says Home Buyers of Pittsburgh, like we flip houses. We're like the biggest house flipping company, and it's run by like two younger guys, like in their 30s and late 20s, and they're really great guys. And they're huge music fans too. So they've been our biggest cash sponsor
Oh, that's
the last
awesome.
2 years. And half of Standard Broadcast actually works for them. So it's our guitar player and myself work for Urban Capital, and we're contractors. And we help renovate houses around Pittsburgh. So they've been like our main money sponsor. I'm so glad that they are, because like I don't like asking people for anything.
Sure.
So,
yeah, that could be.
But I got to change that if I want to like get money raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's dig back into
Okay.
these listener questions.
The
What
questions?
do you say? I think we got some good ones. Oh, Jennifer Lynn. Favorite food to cook on the grill. It is Memorial Day weekend.
Oh man,
We
on
got
the grill?
a lot to chat about here. So
I guess
what
I'll
do you
start
got?
this
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
I'll-
Start that
I'll
one.
start.
What do you
So
got? What do you
I
got?
don't eat red meat, so I don't eat no burgers, none of the steaks and everything. But I can cook like a good chicken. Like you marinate it, simple marinade, cook that up, just let it, and then like it's
That's
worth
amazing,
it.
'cause I am awful at cooking.
I know, really? You gotta keep it moist. You just keep
it's
it going. Like
never
that's it.
through.
So like,
Yeah.
so like it's the chicken, and like even going through, it's the hot dogs. I can easily go for that.
I'm a kielbasa guy.
Thank you, Kamasi too.
Kielbasa.
That is absolutely
That's
100%
my
worth it. So
Yeah.
from Pittsburgh and that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Tell you also.
Well,
Good
I
performance.
am a vegetarian.
Oh, so-
But I do enjoy making just like veggie burgers, veggie dogs on the grill. That stuff's okay.
okay.
But you ever grill like some corn on the cob?
Yes.
Like throw a big
Yes.
potato on a
Yeah,
motherfucker.
yeah.
That's some good
Asparagus,
stuff.
grilled
Right.
asparagus,
Yeah,
a little salt
yeah.
on that.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So do you cook with jackfruit also, since you're vegetarian?
I do eat jackfruit.
Oh, yeah.
I have
It is.
not had any positive experiences in my end result of working with jackfruit physically.
Okay.
We both had amazing jackfruit barbecue at Millville Music Festival. I didn't even realize until after I ordered that it was a vegan like.
Oh, really?
stand.
It was
that's
at the,
awesome.
It was
And
at
then,
the
like, I
library.
ordered it, I'm like, here, and she was like, oh, and he pointed out to me because he was standing. We're actually watching Dan Getkin and 12-6, who are really good, and they were indie rock alumni too, and so we're watching them, which is a great show. And we ordered this pulled pork. It's pulled pork sandwich. I thought I was getting a pulled pork
Sure,
sandwich.
pulled.
And he's like,
Yeah.
you just ordered like vegan pulled pork. I'm like, no.
There he is, just like halfway
Yeah.
through, being like,
And then I got it. It was
did?
amazing. It was totally amazing. Couldn't tell the difference. So I really wish I could remember the name of that stand, because the two women running it were
it was at
really
the
sweet. Really
Millville Library setting.
Yeah.
So wherever you are, like, thank you so
Yeah,
much
no,
for those
there's-
burgers.
I think there's a lot of really, really cool vegetarian and vegan stuff that people just unfortunately like look over, just because, I mean, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I mean, I haven't eaten like meat in close to 10 years now at this
Okay.
point. But like, I totally get it. Like, I totally still miss like a good old like juicy burger or whatever, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
get it. But I do think that there's a lot of stuff that people poo poo for no good
For no
reason.
reason,
And
yeah.
I think you could blind taste test a lot of people
Yeah.
on some shit, especially stuff like pulled pork. It gets smothered in barbecue
right,
sauce.
exactly.
You're just tasting
Exactly.
that flavors
Yeah, it's
and
just
everything.
the
You're like,
You
texture.
could,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
could probably eat a shoe with that sauce on
Yeah.
it. It would taste the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my sister's vegetarian too, and when I was down visiting her last time, she always has stuff that cooks, and I always try it. And I can totally understand. I can appreciate how people can just eat that way. So yeah, it was tons of very tasty stuff, meat related. So
All right. Oh, I'm getting people are
All
liking
right.
stuff. All right. Christina Santavica. You know, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Christina, and I apologize. She's going to be on the show soon. She plays in the band The Shadow event. They're coming on.
Ooh.
But Christina asks, Oh, wait. There's 2 questions. I'm going to go with this first one.
I'll do both. I'm excited.
Who in your band would you share a bed with?
I'm gonna have to say this man because we are the 2 original band members, so we've had the longest relationship.
Why are you putting me on the spot then? Why? I feel like I have to say
fine.
you.
It's fine if you don't want to say me.
I feel like I have to say you, but
Jeff's probably the quietest.
Jeff's the quietest. I don't think he snores. But then there's Adam, and I feel like he would just spread out because he's that guitarist, but he's so talented that he would just be pushing me aside.
And he knows Krav Maga. So
I know.
You might get some elbows.
I'm going to get a lot of elbows. So you know what? I would share the bed with you. The couch even and everything.
Baby.
Yeah. As long as I can be Big Spoon. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be Little Spoon.
There's a response below it from Ryan Dowden. He said, y'all get beds. Most people are limited to floors and the space they can make in the van.
Well, I'm a carpenter, so I can make a bed anywhere.
I will say this. So in most circumstances with Sykes doesn't really play out of town too much. We do have some stuff coming up at the end of June, though.
Nice.
So yay.
Nice.
Nice.
I guess at the time this airs, that's like in a couple weeks. But Grey Walker goes out of town enough.
Right.
And if we do get a hotel, we usually get it's just like 2 beds.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm always the person that volunteers to just sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
Typically.
Yeah.
I'm usually like I've been younger in high school. We used to go to like different, like we went to Philadelphia, we went to Cleveland, even in college we went to there, and I was always that guy being like, I'm going to pass out here. I'm going to be fine. So
I usually opt to take the floor because whenever we get home, I'm the psychopath that's like getting on the hotel Wi-Fi and catching up with work for like the next 2 hours.
Yes,
so
yeah.
like, everybody else is passing out anyways. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to stay over here. I'll work on this and then I'll sleep.
No, we're very much looking forward to playing out of town. Like, I love to play like Chicago, Cleveland, some regional, but I do have a family. I have a wife and 2 kids, so it's kind of hard to do those. Like, you know, if I was single, we'd be probably playing a lot more. And also I'm just trying to like, well, no, I mean, out of town where I without the obligations and it's hard. Like, I don't want to go too long without seeing my kiddos and stuff too. But, you know, I also am a big, I really feel like you should really build your base where you're at. You know, I don't have we're still, the one thing that keeps us active in the Pittsburgh music scene is our trajectory is still like on the upswing. Like, we haven't topped out, and like everyone's written, you know, stories about like in the city paper. We haven't got articles and stuff. Like, people still really don't know who we are.
Sure.
So it's like, I feel like you know, when we start getting asked to play out
not until
of
after
town,
this podcast,
you know, like,
and then
I don't have this huge hard on to play Cleveland when I'm still trying to get people to show up for Pittsburgh shows.
Totally.
And I think that's like a really important thing, you know, and I know, you know, if you want to go the route of being on a label or having people look at you, a lot of things is like, hey, can you sell out a show in your own town? And if you can't do that yet, like, really try to focus up on that, like, and make sure you can, you know, and like we're like kind of like on the older end of the bands in Pittsburgh. So if you're in your 30s or 40s and you get like friends to show up to 2 bands, like 2 shows a year, you're doing good. Like, so we started like pacing our shows out 6 to 8 weeks, like minimum, and we have like it'll be over by the time this airs, but we have a nice, really big show at Funhouse on the 14th. We're actually playing DVE that morning, so that's our big first time on the coffee house on DVE. So we're super pumped for that. You guys, that'll come and gone by the time this airs, but hopefully we're not terrible. And but yes, we have that, and then Deutschtown, and then we're just kind of taking it easy for a while, and we're going back to write our second full length album. So
cool.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Had another issue with the cable here. I also was so caught up in our talking that I didn't notice the camera stopped recording. So we'll have about like 8 minutes of no footage, but we still have audio.
Got it.
Okay.
We still have
That's
audio.
fine.
Okay.
Again, first day in the space. I apologize. I'm not used to this. Okay. I'm still working through all this stuff. Yeah. Do we got any more questions up in here? I forgot to hit that. I still don't have quite a grip on how this mouse thing works. I need to make it so when I go left, it goes over there. Because I'm like looking to the left, but moving the mouse right.
So you keep moving it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not weird. All right, you only get one question, Christina. I apologize. We could talk some more when you're here.
Steve. I love Steve.
All right, Steve Pierce. This looks like this is going to be our last listener question of the day. Steve Pierce, is there anything you do on gig day that's different from a non-gig day? Any rituals, etc.?
That's a good question.
So I watch hockey. I was a theater major, so I am very superstitious. I'm very I got to wear the same underwear on gig day. I got to I plan out my clothes and everything. I'm just like, okay, what's going to be appealed to the audience? Okay, where are we playing? Like Millville Music Festival. I was like, all right, I'm going to wear a Pittsburgh shirt because that's what we're doing. So we're going to wear that Pittsburgh shirt. So I'm going to wear that and representing Commonwealth Press. So I'm like, all right, I have the Pittsburgh shirt. It looks like the Golden State Warriors. They won. They've been doing well, representing my West Coast and everything. So I always try to get there early, get the parking space. I'm there just I'm listening to good music. I'm just so focused and everything. So I'm walking into Millville Music Festival, put down my instrument, and then Nate comes in. And somebody else is wearing a Pittsburgh shirt too.
Yeah, I changed. Typically, my only tradition is and I've kind of posted some things online about this. I'm a big fan of hashtag pimp your other bands. I always try to wear another local band that I've bought their shirt, your fellow frontman kind of thing. So today, like I said, Essential Machine, they're one of my favorite bands of all time, and they just happen to be a local band and nice. I don't know if you've ever had them on, but they're happen to be a family band. It's a mom, dad, and their 18-year-old son. They're just absolutely amazing. And but yeah, that's my only thing. To answer Steve's question, who is one of the most amazing artists in Pittsburgh too. Him and Zach Ryder, really great guy. I got he was at Indie Rock Fest. This was the first year we had fine artists too. But yeah, my only tradition is that I try to always wear another local band's T-shirt to help promote them. So.
What about you? What about between Gray Walkers and Kites? Do you have a different tradition for both, or you go in the same way?
I've thought about this because this is actually something it's kind of interesting that he asked this because maybe he caught it off of an episode or two, but I know that I've been asking bands about if they had band practice rituals or places they like to go eat after shows, things like that.
We have that. Actually.
We have that before, yeah.
Before practice, yeah.
Those kind of things. But I don't really think there's anything specifically that I do with either project for the most part. It's just I don't know, over planning and over stressing.
Yeah,
it's probably my rituals for events.
That's how I am because I'm the one that pretty much books all the shows. I'm always there first, and the rest of the band comes later. So.
You're turning on the lights. We'll get to the venue, and you're turning on the lights, cleaning the tabs.
3 hours early.
It's interesting because I'm second in line because I'm the hardest instrument. I am okay, how are you going to get plugged in? How trying to mic a cello, trying to do everything, and it's finally gotten to you're using my amp as a DI box. Just plug in the back, and you're in control of my sound. So it's interesting hearing into the different sound people and trying to figure out my sound. And luckily, because I've been using my amp as a DI box, they're finally getting used to that. And so it's getting in their second, just being okay, what's the sound guy like? Okay, it's this person, or going out to Spirits. I know the Spirit sound guys, so I can trust them working on from there too. But if it's a new person, I'm hey, I play cello. You're going to have an XLR cable here. You're going to be in charge of that. I put on the distortion pedal. I have, a phaser pedal. Be aware of that. Just make sure your name.
Pittsburgh's pretty blessed with good sound.
It is.
Denny at Smalls, Pete Peters, does local stuff.
Yeah.
And he did our stage at Millville Music Festival, and we did a show at Cousins Lounge, which is really great.
Yes.
And then the guys over at Spirit are really, really good. So yeah, don't have too many problems with sound people anymore.
Cool.
Yeah. So
I think a lot of that too is just knowing what each venue is like.
Yeah.
And maybe, just avoiding some.
Well, that's so very true. I was going to say, as
calling
far as
out some, is that it?
Yeah, as far as advice to give, it's I would say play as many venues as you possibly can. We've literally played everywhere except Stage AE.
Any of these real big ones.
Obviously a stadium or something like that. But there's absolutely venues we've played at least every venue 2 or 3 times. You're oh man,
we played that.
Why do we keep going back? And there's So now you've learned once to kind of just be like, we're busy that day.
Yeah. I mean, the only way, it's kind of like back to Ryan's question at the beginning, like when is a band gig ready?
Yeah.
I mean, like you really just got to go out and just try everything once
it's
least.
the different fields. Like you said,
Yeah.
like it's going to be Southside's going to be different than the North Shore, than Lawrenceville, than here. And it all depends.
And don't turn down, especially when you're starting, do not turn down gigs, especially if another bands are asking you, because you never realize like the relationships you'll build. Even if it's a bad show, like the sound's terrible or whatever, you might make really cool connections with another band or something. So yeah, like when you're young or not even young, but when you're early in your music career, just play any and everywhere. So.
The biggest thing I would say is don't turn down a show because you don't think it makes sense for the bands to play together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, don't try to find bands that sound like you and only play with them.
I had like, it's funny because we've been doing this long enough, and I set up a lot of shows and all that, and like every once in a while I'll get a band. They'll say, "How many people are you expecting?" And I'm like, that goes right through me. It's like how many people do you think are going to show up? Like, and it's like not a prevalent band. Like it's a younger, like a up and coming. And if you're ever even thinking that you're near that mindset, it's like you should not be playing. Like, so it's, if you're playing for 10 people, if you're playing for 500 people, give it the same effort. And we've had a lot of gigs where we played for 10 or 15 people, and I don't think I've sang any less hard, or like, the band's giving it all. And, when we get into those scenarios, even like recently, you just treat it as a live band practice and just have fun. And, we had a Jenny and the Jags. We played Taking Back Mondays. She has a really great show right at Cousins Lounge. It's a Monday night, and there was 15
Nobody
people
was
there. It was hands down one of the most fun shows we've had in the last year. And everyone clapped. Like, everyone was super involved. It was really intimate. And Jenny was like a super great host. So it like, don't turn down those gigs because you think no one's going to be there or no one cares. It was a great experience. It was a more fun experience than we've had when we played for a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
So,
oh, sure.
Yeah.
Let's dig into some things that don't involve music.
Okay.
I've been doing like of like a suggested thing. I guess there'll be some music in this, but the first thing I want to do is you got to eat this segment. So
please keep all the sound effects.
I was just at the Smiling Moose, and I don't know. I mean, a lot of people still don't know that the Smiling Moose has a really good kitchen.
Their kitchen's amazing.
Yes.
There.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking unreal.
It's amazing.
Yes.
I ran into my friend Shane from Buffalo Rose outside of the Smiling Moose. I guess they were playing down at the Rex Theater on Friday.
Okay.
And he stopped in and he said that, somebody had told him that he needed to come down to the Moose and get the shrimp po' boy.
Yes.
That's very good. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, the food here is great. And he was like, I wasn't too sure. And then somebody else that was just outside was like, the sandwich is really good. Like, you just heard him talking about it.
The drunken crowd just, you should get that.
I remember the way I felt like back, it was probably almost 10 years ago now when they started serving food out of the kitchen. And I remember being like, what? No way. And then I had something and I was like, holy shit, Yeah. So I thought by now more people might already know, be aware of that kitchen. But I think there's some people that still don't know about it. So Smiling Moose, got to eat it.
Yeah.
You guys got anything?
So
our ritual every Monday.
Do you want to go for rituals or like?
I'll go for the ritual.
Well, it could be a ritual / recommendation.
Well, yeah.
I have a recommendation, but you can start with the ritual.
All right, every we have band practice every Monday night, which I highly recommend to everyone out there because Mondays are terrible, right? So it's something to look forward to.
And nothing's open in Pittsburgh on Monday, so it's like, yeah, why not?
So every Monday before practice, Leland and I meet. And we eat at the Dive Bar in Lawrenceville, which is amazing. The food is so good.
The place it's called Dive.
Dive Bar, called Dive, the Dive. And there's nothing bad on the menu.
It's great. You go for happy hour. They have like half off apps, and you just get like $1 off of the draft beers, and it's just great because you leave with 2 appetizers and 2 beers and like $25.
Yeah,
and that's including the tip.
Right.
And it's just chill. It's relaxed, and it gets you warmed up.
Bartender's really cool.
That's it. So like you have 2 stouts, and you're just stumbling up, ready to play band practice. So. So I'm from the South Hills, and you mentioned the sandwich place. Parker's PGH. There is a great sandwich, and it's a steamed sandwich. So they load up everything, they put it in a steamer, steam it up. The cheese is melted, the bun is nice and soft, and everything
steamed
else.
sandwich.
Oh my
I
god!
haven't either.
Oh, it's so good.
And where's this
It's in Brookline Boulevard. It's right next to the post office. It's delicious, and it's like all custom made sandwiches. So it's just like you're getting like chicken, you're getting like all local stuff there too. Absolutely worth
Hell
it.
yeah.
So like if you're in that area, hit me up. I'm like maybe 2 minutes away, walking distance.
What was the name of that spot again?
Parker's PGH. Thank you.
Hell yeah. And so that's that. But you know what? You got to see this. So last night,
Okay.
I watched Spirited Away for the first time in a long time. I
Okay.
had seen it before. Point proven. So Spirited Away, it's an animated film. It is a Japanese animated
Very good.
children's
Yeah.
film. It's pretty old now at this point. It's probably like 15 or 20 years old at this point, but I hadn't watched it in a really long time. And my girlfriend Stacy, we were babysitting her niece and nephew for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So we put it on for them. And it was really fun getting to watch them watch it. And I hadn't seen it in so long. And I know there's still people that haven't seen this movie.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's an absolutely beautiful, fantastic movie for people of all ages. And if you've never seen it, you got to see it.
Yeah.
Spirited Away.
Yes.
Nice.
Any recommendations on movies, film, TV?
One of my favorite movies of all times is Burbs with Tom Hanks.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it's kind of becoming a cult classic, but man, that resonates with me still from like being a kid. And I love watching it with people who haven't seen it. Yeah, that's just go check it out.
What I'm watching now on Netflix is Castlevania.
Okay.
Have you seen that yet?
Like Castlevania, like the game?
So it's based off the game.
I've never even heard of this.
It is.
I love Castlevania.
It's animation, so it's beautiful, but it's that gory animation. So I was listening to the Castlevania soundtrack, and I was trying to get more and more into it. And so it's one of those that you put on. I'm like, okay, how's this going to be? And you're watching, like, oh, that's a good storyline. Oh, that's really good. Ooh, okay. And then in 2 days, you finish that up just because how beautiful it is. The plot is it's simple enough, but then the second season, it gets complex and everything. And it's just a different take on vampires and the Dracula story. And if you a video game player, Castlevania, you just kind of relate to the characters. So you're like, oh, I know that. I've played that character. Oh, I know that too. So absolutely worth Castlevania.
Hell yeah.
So.
I dig it. You got anything?
Show wise, I'm loving Barry. After Game of Thrones. And I've always been a huge Bill Hader fan. I died anytime he was on SNL. And then I was watching all the documentary now.
Yeah.
And I can watch that guy read me his grocery receipt. I think his delivery is just so amazing. And then Barry is just phenomenal. And Henry Winkler, perfect counterpart to him. But I think it's slowly becoming less of a sleeper, and people are, realizing how good it is because it was on right after Game of Thrones. But we crushed out that. We were caught up in a couple days.
Nice.
I gotta check that out. That does look pretty good.
You'll love it. It's
cool.
It's great.
Barry, got it. Let's keep it rolling. You gotta hear this. So, are either of you familiar with an artist called My Brightest Diamond?
I'm not. No.
I'm not. No.
So My Brightest Diamond, it's a solo project under the disguise of a full band of this woman that does this indie rock / Baroque pop craziness.
Okay.
All right.
It's really awesome. She's been putting out music for a really long time, and she's been dropping these new singles on Spotify.
Okay.
And they're really, really good. All of her stuff's good, but just it's been popping up in my release radar, and every time she puts out something new, I'm like, this is so fucking good. I try to share it around. It always falls on deaf ears. Nobody seems to get it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? More people need to listen to My Brightest Diamond. So it's I definitely would check it out. I think if anybody would appreciate it, maybe you two would. Since a lot of the time I'm talking to people that maybe have more, we'll say extreme taste.
So there's
music.
this
So
or
on
this.
certain spectrums. And it is definitely a little bit more, it's not very extreme in terms of what it is. It's very beautiful music, but it's really emotionally intense. Really good songwriting.
Who do you have? I have a great one all queued up. Go ahead.
So it's interesting that you mentioned like the extremes. So like what I've been listening to is I'm going to the Used. And like I know they just came out with a live album. They actually did a cover of Shadow of the Day by Linkin Park. Beautiful. But growing up, I was always that extreme with emo music. I was like, you're either My Chemical Romance or you're the Used. I'm going to do My Chemical Romance. You're either Taking Back Sunday or Brand New. I'm going to do Taking Back Sunday. So now that I'm getting older, I'm listening to like, oh, what is this? You know, the Used and everything else. And I'm like,
I had that with Nirvana and Pearl Jam when I was growing up.
But you like,
what is this? The Used?
The Used? And this
they're so good.
Birds and everything. But then like going back and now re-listening to everything, I'm like, why wasn't it on this team? They're still around and still making good music and everything.
Way better.
and we're not saying way better, but it was. But that's what I've been listening to is just like going back to like older emo and being like listening to that other extreme where it's just like even like Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco. So
you know, a band that I never really gave any sort of a shit about or anywhere close to a chance about until I started doing MySpace Night and really digging through was Cute Is What We Aim For. There's like some like they write some really catchy songs. Like it's really good, catchy pop rock. I mean, it's very corny and like it's very sassy. I kind of like how sassy it is, but like they're like really just good, solid songs for what they are. And I feel like I always slept on them.
I had an ex-girlfriend that loved that.
Oh,
so that's why that little like that little hurt right there too. So that's why
I get where you're coming from.
But like I'll try to go back and I'm like, oh, can I listen to that? So whenever you play it, I'm just like, okay, we're gonna do that. I'm like everybody's jumping around and then there's me.
Sure, fair enough.
Not at all.
It's impossible to make everybody there happy 100% of the time.
Oh yeah. I don't know how you do it.
It's so like we're pulling from such a wide spectrum of things. I try my best to just always read the crowd.
Yes, it is. It's interesting.
So you feel like what songs are hitting, you're like, oh, they like that. They're like, this.
Yeah.
Like, no.
It's hard. Well, I mean, there's some stuff that's just duds. You should like, I don't know if you've ever like taken a look at the request sheets. Like when you,
I refuse to.
There is some fucking hysterical stuff that people try to get us to play.
So the case in point, I love Shiny Toy Guns. So whenever you play like Lay Disco, it is such a good song. It is like, it's going, but nobody dances to that.
Nobody gets it. That's nobody a sleeper. That.
It is such a sleeper. But then there are people who are like, what is this? What is it? I was like, it's Lay Disco. Like if you watch the music video, if you do this, like there's so much
that whole like that whole demographic of stuff like your Shiny Toy Guns or Mindless Self-Indulgence, any of that like electronic driven sort of like rock stuff that fell into that pocket of time, like that stuff I think is awesome and perfect for MySpace Night, but a lot of people don't get it.
So the question that I have is, when are you going to do Mall Goth Night again? Because I went to that. I loved it. I have my trip hands on and everything.
I thought it was awesome. I just felt like it was kind of a sleeper.
You played Korn. And I was just like, got the line. I'm just there like slapping that bass like it's 90 degrees and everything. It's perfect. Maybe. My one friend has his like dreadlocks and everything. He has his grill in and he's just screaming into the microphone and everything. So it's like, and he keeps bringing it up. And he's like, I love Mall Goth Night. Like you played The Prodigy. You played all this just like underground heavy stuff. And it was just like, I don't know if nobody showed or just was an off.
It was a light turnout. And I wasn't sure, like, I don't feel like it was bad. I think the people that were there enjoyed it. Okay. I definitely think there were some people that showed up that were maybe too serious.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, they didn't even play, like, Front 242.
Like, I don't think I don't think that they, like, got the joke.
That's
and I felt kind of bad about that too.
Goth, I remember all the posts that you put up, and I'm like, ha ha ha, that really hurts. And I'm like looking at the back of my closet, being like, soon, you guys.
Well, I mean, I totally I came from the same. That's like where I came from.
Okay,
Like if I was doing like a 100% genuine to me, MySpace Night, it would probably be that. Always. But like it's as I've grown over the years, I've learned to appreciate everything. And there's definitely some stuff from Mall Goth Night that has gotten adopted into regular rotation.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
Last Resort will never leave MySpace Night's playlist now. No way. That's too good. And like some Limp Bizkit, you could get away with break stuff.
A little like break stuff.
I mean, you can't tell me like everyone had those albums.
Oh, totally. But I will throw one thing at you. One thing I'm thinking of doing is a Born Too Late MySpace night.
Okay.
Where we put in some artists that I think just missed the MySpace generation, but totally would play well.
So
like a Carly Rae Jepsen,
yes.
or like some 21 Pilots stuff.
Yes.
Right. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But not exclusive Lana Del Rey, like that kind of nonsense.
It
like
would.
Still like blend that in with all the other stuff, but just have some of that stuff in there. I thought that would be fun.
That's going to be refreshing. And that's
Yeah.
going to
It
bring
might
out
capture some of the people too.
Yeah.
That weren't
Yeah.
responsive.
So that's my idea. I know you've
like
been to
it.
enough to.
I'm
I'll
sold.
take your opinion on that.
I think I'm in so many photos. I'm looking at just circling. I've been like,
I might have more fun photos of you having fun on my computer than myself.
I like that. I don't know how I take that. I don't know. Do you got that secret camera too? I thought I'd post that up. Okay. All right.
My sleeper for musicians has nothing to do with that genre, but I'm more of a piano rock guy because I play piano, right? So I'm a big fan of the Fray and like Coldplay, especially like early Coldplay. But one of my absolute favorite current artists that nobody knows about that I talked to is this guy called Tor Miller. He's like 21, 22, really young guy. He's on Glassnote Records, so like he's from New York, New Jersey area, and I feel like I absolutely love his vocals, but I think people either like love him or hate him, like kind of vocals within the first like 2 minutes of like hearing it, and his stuff is just he writes all of his own music, which I think is really great, all very like ultra personal, like love song stuff, but kind of like I don't want to say really dark, but just so talented that I've just been eating up all his music. He has he had one EP and then a full length, and he has kind of like a 7 song like EP. So, but he's been around for a couple of years now. But Tor Miller, I try to promote this guy all the time. He's super accessible on social media, which is really cool to like hear this guy. Like I heard his one song on Alt Nation, and I just started following him and like shot him like a message here and there, and then like he responds, and like my youngest or my oldest now, who's 8, Owen. When he was like 5 or 6, was loved his one song called Carter and Cash. It's like really dancey, so I like took a video of it and sent it to him, like because we were like messaging back when he like posted it everywhere.
Cool.
I'm like, man, you're on Glassnote Records. You're like cool as anything, and what a time to be alive. You know, like when you can talk to someone you really admire and that's doing extremely well in their craft. And to have that kind of back and forth was really, really special, and it was really neat.
That's fucking awesome. That goes back to the point that I made earlier, just about like artists being accessible. So how the fuck are we supposed to compete when you can message one of your favorite artists and you know chat with them directly? That answers
that online question. Is it important to have an online print? Like yes. You have to start there. There. Yeah. So.
Absolutely. So hey, what was that artist's name again?
Tor Miller.
And what did you drop? I totally forgot.
I dropped the U's.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Gonna...
My Brightest Diamond. You got to hear it. Cool. Last one we're going to do here. Okay. You got to do this. What do you got to do? This is my opinion. I think everybody needs to take a day off from their bullshit and maybe have a cookout or something like that. Hang out with your friends.
Okay.
Chill out. That's what I said. That's it. You got to do. Just take a chill pill.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I took off Thursday this past week because I was tired. I was tired of everything that was going on, and just like I needed that day off. And I keep going to like Nina. I was like, I need a video game day. I need a day where I'm just like I'm playing video games for like 4 hours, take a little hour break, and then another 4 hours. And that's what I did on Thursday. Was just like I'm calling off. Why? I have the sick time. And it was the greatest thing. So absolutely recommend just taking a day for yourself. Not even a cookout, but just doing something that you like to do that you don't get to do. So
mine's hyper specific. Karaoke. You must all do karaoke. I met my wife singing karaoke.
Hell yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're good or bad. I mean, I'm a huge karaoke fan. Especially before I had a band. It's like I'd go out singing all the time. And it's because where do you go to sing if you don't have a band, right? And it's a great place to meet people that have similar interests. But if you're horrible, people clap for you and it's amazing. And if you're really good, people clap for you and it's amazing. The only time it's annoying when people think they're really good and like with like their finger to their ear, and they're like,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
What are you talking? I do that at MySpace now. I get the mic.
No, but it gets you up on stage. It kind of breaks that stage fright down. Karaoke. Everyone should do it at least once.
Yeah, I always feel weird about doing karaoke, only because I feel like I'm taking stage time away from people that like
No, that's
are
your
just
time.
going there
It's
to like
your
hang
time.
out. You know what I mean?
Oh, no way.
Like I feel like it's like, and I like there are some people. I guess like you could do karaoke as somebody in a band, and it could be genuine. But there's also been times where I've seen people do karaoke, and it's totally just like an ego stroke, and it really rubs me the wrong way.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
we all know that you can fucking sing. Like
Yeah.
nobody here's fucking impressed at like Joe's Crab Shack or wherever the fuck you're doing
Yes,
karaoke
yeah.
right now.
See, I can't go to a bar unless I'm shooting pole or like singing karaoke or maybe throwing like I can't just sit. If I'm going to pay and sit and drink,
You
I'll
have to
like
do
get a
something.
case and
You
drink
have-
in my own house.
Totally.
Or something. Like so that's what it is for me. It's like I'll be deep in a conversation with you at the bar. And we're talking like, oh, I'm gonna go sing. It's like a hobby. It's just like fun. That's how I
No hate.
I would
No
look
hate.
at it. Yeah. So it's just something fun to do.
So my fine.
But there are very serious people.
Yes.
Yeah.
To go do is find your own local watering hole. Go and like your own bar where you can just sit down. You know the bartenders. You can talk to the bartenders. It can be a dive bar. It could be, a high class bar. Sit there and get to know the bartenders. Make that your spot. And
Yeah.
Make that like your flex. So if
Yeah,
you're
that's the
bringing in
shit.
people
Yeah.
in that you're like, hey, this is my place. You're coming into there and like, oh, I know, this person, this person, this person. He makes a great tequila drink. He makes a great this. She knows how to serve this. And like, as soon as you have that connection, you walk in and you're that Duke. You are just like,
Yeah.
I have that money. So
I used to live in the South Side, so I definitely had my spots.
Yes.
But now I live up here, and I pretty much the bars up here I don't really go to.
Yeah.
But I do go to the Pear and the Pickle Cafe every morning. So
Okay.
I pretty much I flex there.
Nice.
Like I kind of have
Yeah.
like the same repertoire there, but instead of like beers and snacks, it's like breakfast sandwich and coffee.
yeah, okay. So you're switching. It's a daytime version of that. Yeah, an
I
early
got the
morning.
bean through, man, on Route 8. They got the iced coffee and their breakfast burritos. I'm there like all the time. So good.
Hell yeah.
Worth
With
it.
hot sauce.
Yes,
You have to.
little dash, a little
Yeah.
Frank's. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, wrapping up, we did all the fun stuff. I like to kind of close things out on a bit more, not necessarily like a serious note, but just more of like something thoughtful to kind of round out the conversation and chat a little bit more about, what you do as a band and as, event promoters and planners and things like that. So something I've been thinking about a lot is, the classification of like genres and like communities and like building a community based around genres and like the fine line that you walk of like building a bubble or like creating a clique and like trying to make it like, inclusive, but like that, like you want it to be inclusive. Like you want everybody to come
Yeah.
in, but without having a slight bit of exclusivity to it. It's like, why even bother? What's going to make people want to be a part of it if it doesn't have a somewhat tinge of
niche.
exclusivity
Yeah.
to
Yes.
it? Like, how do you balance all of that? Is that anything that you felt like you've had to struggle with like Indie Rock Fest or playing
Yeah.
shows with the band?
I honestly made some conscious choices and decisions because, again, coming into the music scene late, like I didn't spend my 20s and early 30s like grinding away here and knowing everybody. And so walking into, shows or booking shows or even just going out and seeing other, like it becomes extremely obvious to like the lay person, like clicks and stuff like that. So I've honestly, I'm not going to name names or bands or whatever, but like I know certain people like in different genres, and I've made a choice to kind of like force those like into Indie Rock Fest in some of the shows, some of the years, and it's went really well. And it's like one. I'll just say Jeremy Kaywood. He's very tied in with the Smalls circuit and the whole complex here, and he had started emceeing like he came on and was the host and MC for the last 2 years. And the cool thing about that is he's been a sound guy at multiple venues, so he knows not only the Smalls kind of clique of people, but he's played other like Hambones, and he's been a sound guy. So he has helped kind of like streamline and tie in all these kind of different, not only like just like, oh, these are just these indie rock bands or these folk bands or hip hop bands. Like he blends it all together just by being the MC for the night. And so it kind of brings like an instant comfortable like situation because everyone's seen or known that guy. Like you played a show, even if you don't know him, you've seen him.
I know Jim.
Yeah. It's like, and you know, just so when you have kind of like that baseline of like, oh, I either really know him or he ran sound for me at this one venue, I feel somewhat comfortable. And the first 2 years we didn't have that. And the last 2 years we did, and they were just better shows. So I totally agree. Like we try to like always play like when we're, especially now we're like trying to play shows with different bands we haven't played before.
It's interesting because I never understand the competition of music or like battle of the bands. Right. It should always be like music should be this connecting thing. Right. So why should I exclude, you know, a metal person whenever they could be very technically advanced on guitar? Why should I exclude a hip hopper? Because that person might have great lyrics, but I don't like the beat for that too. And that's, I think, the problem with these like little bubbles that they're just like, oh, I have to be better. I have to, you know, step on you. And it's like, no, at the end, whenever you're done with your gig, I'm going to be like, hey man, great gig. What do you play? What's your pedals? Like, how did you do that?
Sure.
What did you think of that? And that's why, like, I love this podcast because you break down that and you kind of like, you have those walls broken down to talk.
Well, a couple months ago, we played Club Cafe with Sykes and New Violence.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
Like, our band couldn't be more opposite than Sykes and New Violence.
That's
but
what
it was
beautiful.
So cool playing with you, and I was in awe of all the media that you have involved with it, like all the projection and all the mixing and the samples and stuff like that. And it was super impressive. And I might not have got to see that live if like we're on the same bill, but like you and the other band that we played with, Suavity's Mouthpiece, all three bands were just totally separate. Like they're totally own thing, and it was a really cool experience. So yeah, I encourage other bands or acts.
So yeah, at the end of every gig,
to your point before, like play.
Yeah, it's like I want to share it's like if I'm on playing shows, I want to play shows with bands that want to be there just as much as I do.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Like I hate playing shows with bands that don't want to even be at the show.
Yeah.
Like
I never understood that either. It's like you play a band and someone's like bored out of their mind. And like,
you show up like bands that like show up to gigs late, don't bring any sort of merch, don't talk to anybody, and leave early. It's like, why'd you even bother coming?
Right. Yeah. Right.
I don't get it.
At the end of the gig, I just want to like line up, shake everybody's hand and everything. I want the shirt exchange. I want a merch exchange. I want to hold up a Grey Walkers and you hold Standard Broadcast and we're there just holding up and it's just that jersey, that t-shirt exchange. That's it. It's just like you look at that and it's like real respect's real. And it's like, yes, you might be metal. You might be that hip hop. I might be that indie, but like, I love what you do. Because I enjoy music, and that's what it should be about.
That's the thing, too, is like, I mean, it's like you listen to yelly stuff outside of the band, and I listen to not yelly stuff outside of the band. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But honestly, kudos to you, too, for 5 years and for doing this.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. This is an amazing thing. It's like, you know, I can really appreciate because I'm trying, not anywhere close, but with Indie Rock Fest, it's a similar concept. Like you're just trying to build the scene. There's so many talented. The fact that you have a new band every month or so, every few weeks that you can interview. I mean, you have over 200 episodes. So
I do weekly, but starting now, we're doing 2 episodes a week.
Yeah, nice. That's what I mean.
Very nice.
But like to have someone like yourself,
is that a tier?
Even doing this, you know,
I just said it out loud.
Pro bono.
He's crying in the corner.
Like we didn't pay anything to be here. So thank you so much for having us on.
Thank you.
Actually, I almost dumped out my savings getting this new space.
It's worth it.
This place, everyone out there, is amazing. Try to get hooked up. Try to be here.
Over there, that jacuzzi.
This guy's amazing.
Yes, and everything.
Thank you for what you do for Pittsburgh.
No, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. We didn't drop your socials. Your socials. Where can people find you?
standardbroadcastband.com. And then we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all Standard Broadcast Band. So, yeah.
Word. Thank you guys for coming over.
Thanks for having us.
That is all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. One more time, thank you both for coming over. Really appreciate it. I'll be back again next week with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the Beat 2019. Woo! Woo!
This guy.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
It was great. It was absolutely. Cool.
You're by far
So that was
the
our first
best interview ever, though.